CyberHub Engage podcast is brought to you by CyberHub Summit. CyberHub Summit is hosting its second annual cybersecurity conference in Atlanta, Georgia on October 10th at the City Winery, featuring live cyber war games. Find out more at cyberhubsummit.com. Your challenge in hiring the right people, what's the process that you go through? Because a lot of CISOs today have kind of this, I don't think there's a method yet. There's no real way of hiring people, and cybersecurity is very broad.
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing is there's this perception that we're in a hopeless industry for hiring, right? You always hear the million jobs that are lacking by 2020 or whatever the quote is. It seems to go up every time we hear it. But
4.7 million now. It's 4.7 million now by 2020.
Great. So we're all hopeless, right? But my whole point is with the right amount of creativity and just kind of taking a step back and being willing to question what you think of as the traditional candidate, I think we can get out of this and we can all achieve it, right? Still definitely a challenge, but we've had some pretty good success at our company, and that's kind of what I wanted to share. So generally, I kind of have four pots or four directions that I think everybody, no different from me, can pull from. The biggest one I always start with is the internal pipeline. And most people that I talk to start with like, I just don't have people who have X, Y, and Z skills internally. But the great part is they're already at your company. They've probably been tried and true. So you have real results that you can look at, and you've got that insider information. So if you can find somebody with those right soft skills that maybe you're willing to take a little bit of a chance on, but has that initiative, that willingness to tinker and solve problems. What I've found is if they're willing to learn, sometimes those are the most successful people, and they already have that business acumen for your company. And arguably that is that secret sauce, when you bring someone new in. So that's the first one I always start with, is that internal pipeline. The other one is always getting involved in other pipelines. So most people automatically think, hiring a recruiter. But when I say other pipelines, it's getting involved in colleges, going to recruiter fairs, getting involved in affinity organizations, which I think is a great pull. We are in things like Women Who Code and various organizations and conferences like that. But also getting involved in trade conferences and shows like we talk about here on the podcast. Those are just awesome pipelines. And sometimes kind of along with that, just the people in those contacts, either at those affinity groups or conferences, have netted some really great candidates for me as well. And of course, lastly, which is the option for everybody, the recruiters posting, kind of your traditional option. The one thing I do say with recruiters is, if you're going to go that route, make sure they understand your culture. Because a lot of recruiters will just look at resumes and they'll give you suggestions based on that, but they're really your front lines. So in a lot of cases, it's very important for them to understand your culture, to be able to pitch that and know if someone that you're bringing is a cultural fit.
So you guys are involved in a lot of different community stuff. We were just talking before we went on that you guys did the Boys and Girls Club, right? Like you guys did that social test. So tell us just briefly about that, because that's a great thing that you yourself take essentially a huge part in, correct?
Yeah, certainly. I think that's hugely important, of not necessarily my current organization at Aaron's, but just us as cybersecurity professionals, really being involved in those organizations. And so we as Aaron's have been involved in sponsoring the cyber defense competition held at Kennesaw. We sponsored B-Sides, just great things for the community, but we've also been involved in like Women Who Code, Lead Like a Girl with the Boys and Girls Club, which is our sole focus there from the security side, was talking about things like cyberbullying and really helping those girls out. So it's not just for a pipeline, but I also think it's our duty as cybersecurity professionals to get involved in our communities, to provide awareness, and indirectly sometimes as having your brand out there, you're seen as that preferred employer, and you get candidates you never would have imagined. So.
The CyberHub Engage podcast is brought to you by CyberHub Summit. CyberHub Summit is hosting its second annual cybersecurity conference in Atlanta, Georgia on October 10th at the City Winery, featuring live cyber war games. Find out more at cyberhubsummit.com.